healthcare law taking center stage a week from today when the highest court in the land hears the case. South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson is one of 26 attorneys general challenging the constitutionality of the individual mandate, the requirement that every American buys health insurance or pays a penalty. And he joins us from Columbia, South Carolina. We also have Betsy McCoy. She is former Lieutenant Governor of New York and president of Defend Your Healthcare. Attorney General Wilson, let me start with you. Make your case for us. Why do you think this is not constitutional?
Well, first off, Congress, under its Commerce Clause authority, can regulate individuals who enter the stream of commerce. What the framers never intended and what is actually happening is that people are being shoved into the stream of commerce for the purpose of then regulating them. And that is not what the framers intended. That is not what the power authorized in the Constitution intended, and that is certainly unconstitutional.
Betsy, do you agree with that?
Yes. In fact, this case is going to turn, probably, on one astounding fact, and that is that half of Americans, 50% of Americans, consume virtually no health care. They amount to 2.9%, a little tiny fraction of all the health care consumed in the U.S. But under this new law, they would be forced to buy or enroll in plans that cost at least $3,500 a year, sometimes much more. And yet, on average, according to the federal government's own data, they consume less than $230 worth of health care a year.
Yeah. Attorney General Wilson, I think advocates of the plan don't care about that point because they say that you need all those people in the system paying in order to support all the people who are sick and do need the health care. The only way it works is if everybody is in and paying. What do you think about that?
Well, listen, I don't ever challenge someone's intentions, even if I do suspect them. But what I can say is if my son needed a heart transplant or medicine and I didn't have the money, I could go down to the local convenience store and rob it to pay for my son's surgery or his medication. No matter how good the intentions are that I may have, it doesn't make the act of robbing a store any less illegal. That's what the federal government is doing right now. Their process by which they're going and trying to fund this health care act, Obamacare, is purely unconstitutional. They don't have the ability to do it. They could have done this under their tax authority, but they're choosing to do it under their commerce authority because they were too chicken to tax the American citizens. But what we're seeing now is that this is actually going to end up being likened to a tax.
Let me underscore something very important that the Attorney General just said, and that is this. The Obama lawyers argue that everyone consumes health care, therefore everyone is already in the health care marketplace, therefore can use its commerce power to regulate them and compel them to pay for their health care with insurance. But the fact is, as the 11th Circuit, the only federal appeals court to overturn the mandate, said, this is based on a lie. It's based on the lie that everyone consumes health care. Half of Americans don't.
Attorney General Wilson, let me ask you, what do you think is going to be the outcome? Because a lot of people have come out and handicapped this one way or the other. It's obviously very close at the Supreme Court level. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, listen, I mean, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. They're going to make whatever decision they make. I've always said that, if you look at the history of the justices involved and you look at who their appointments are and their pattern of how they rule on other cases, not like this one so much, but that show their judicial philosophy, I've heard many people say this is a 5-4 court one way or the other. But I'm not going to presume to attribute a vote to a judge until they've actually made that vote.
Well, then let me ask you, do you think this is the end of the line? I mean, if the decision doesn't go your way, will you give up?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, obviously, we're going to use every recourse available to us. There's also the consequences of the elections. We need a new president and a Congress that can repeal this act, but we're certainly going to avail ourselves of every opportunity through our court system.
Betsy, let me ask you real quick. We're running out of time. CBO's own numbers last week said that something like 20 million people could not keep their health care who, thought they would be able to, would otherwise choose. That was the high end. Of course, they thought the real number was probably somewhere between 3 and 5 million. It's obviously a lot higher than what the president told us when this law passed. What do you think about those numbers?
Well, it could be as high as 50% of all people who currently get their health insurance through a job, their own job, their spouse's job, a parent's job. All authorities, federal government, independent analysts, all agree that fewer people will be getting their health insurance on a job after this law goes into effect than get it there now.
Well, that might be the goal. Well, I thank both of you for joining us.